Thank you for being with us on this Dancing in the Mess podcast. We have Sarika here as a guest today. Welcome, Sarika.
Oh, thank you, Jill, for having me. I'm so happy and excited and honored to be here
Oh,
with you. Ah.
yay. Ladies, let me tell you about Sarika. She is a UN official turned entrepreneur on a mission to spread joy through Japanese sake and face yoga to brighten people's faces and spirits. And she's also the creator of the Sake Beauty Balm, which is a sake-infused cosmetics brand. And it's now shortlisted for the 2024 European Natural Beauty Awards. Pretty exciting. You are quite the entrepreneur over there, lady. And just so everybody knows, Sarika is in my mastermind, my accountability group that I'm a part of. And so I love connecting with her. She's a friend of mine. And I wanted to invite her today to kind of talk a little bit about the roles of women in Japanese culture and what she has had to overcome to get to where she's at. And also to share a little bit with us at the end of the episode, some tricks and tools on face yoga. She's actually going to guide us through a 5-minute flow. So stick around for that. We will do our best to articulate that in words, what we're doing. But if you want to see this on YouTube, that is also an option. You can find that link in the show notes, because then you can see more of Sarika and I's facial expressions as we actually do the face yoga together.
And
So,
it may look like we're making crazy faces, but it's actually a fabulous workout
all right,
for the
I'm so
face.
excited for this. So tell us, Sarika, let's start. Could you just explain to us a little bit about the roles of women in Japanese culture and how that's affected you?
Yeah. Oh my.
I
How
know, I
long do we
know.
have? So, no, that's such a good question. Of course, when people think of Japan, people think it's super modern and, everything is modern. But unfortunately, the reality, of course, there are lots of great modern things and great things too. But when we talk about gender in Japan, unfortunately, it's really, really not modern.
Mm,
And what I'm talking about is like, even, I mean, it's not just my view, but there's every year there are reports about gender inequality around the world. So this year, Japan was unfortunately really bad. It's like 118 place out of 142 countries. So that's that's like the
yeah.
official ranking. And so
So
unfortunately,
for you
yeah.
to get where you are today, wow. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, oh well, thank you, no, but it's yeah. I mean, I think it's all of us. Of course, there are great things. I mean, healthcare, education, it's great, but because if you look at kind of participation in society, like economic participation, it's so bad, unfortunately, and that's kind of how I started my whole career, because I can go back to thinking. I mean, I didn't even know, of course, the word gender or anything, but like when I was small, like a little girl, maybe 4 or 5, um, my grandfather would say, because I love to wear what I like to wear, right? And then my grandfather would comment like, "What, Sarika, you are wearing a blue shirt? That's not so girl-like."
Mm.
And at that time, of course, I thought it was such a question mark. Like, what? That shouldn't matter. I mean, of course, this is decades ago,
Yeah.
but I mean, that was my first kind of memory of kind of a gender stereotyping in a way, injustice. I mean, of course, I didn't know any of these terms, but I thought doesn't seem right. So I think that has been planted in me like
Mm.
4 decades ago. And yeah, that's kind of how I eventually thought, okay, I want to change the world. And how can I do that? And I want to make, everyone more equal, so we don't have to do this gender stereotyping kind of thing. And
Yeah.
uh,
Would you
yeah.
consider yourself as a woman? living at least part of your life in Japan or coming from the Japan, like Japanese culture, would you say that you have been suppressed in any way? Do you
Oh
believe
yeah, I
women
mean,
are quieted and suppressed?
of course, things are always changing, and of course, my experience might be different from younger generations. Obviously, I hope
Yeah.
it was better, but like from my generation, yeah. I mean, we don't, we were not. I didn't even think we were suppressed because we're not even aware that it seems everything's so normalized that girls should be like this and boys should be like this at that time, that I didn't even think I was suppressed until
Mhm.
so I wasn't even
Yeah.
aware that we are kind of brainwashed. I mean, not brainwashed in a strange way, but
Conditioned.
yeah,
Conditioned.
conditioned exactly. So society conditions you to
Yeah.
see like what kind of behavior is ideal and what kind of behavior is not accepted through verbal and behavioral
Yeah.
things. So yeah, I think when you asked the question, did I feel suppressed? So I think it was even a worse stage that we didn't even know it was suppression.
Right. Well, and that's honestly in different ways. I think all kids are suppressed in different ways because there's
Yes,
so much that's out of control of a
of
child,
course.
right?
Yeah,
Children really don't have very much autonomy. They have to rely on their parents for everything. They're trying to please parents and doing whatever it is to belong and to be accepted and to be
of
loved,
course.
right? But tell us
Yeah.
a little bit more. Give us a little bit more of a picture of what's the difference between the standard role of a man and a standard role of a woman in Japan when you were growing up, at least.
Yeah, so now again, hopefully things are changing, even though we're
Yeah.
still somehow at the bottom of the global ranking,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
hopefully that's better. But like from my era, it was really, I mean, because Japan was trying to, after the war, catch up with, the rest of the world. So it's like a hustle culture. And in order to support that hustle culture, you need kind of a housewife, right? So I think that's kind of where a lot of the ideal family picture comes from, where the husband is working and the mother or the wife is taking care of the household. So that's
Hmm.
totally normal. I think in a lot of the world, I guess it's in a way true. But so that kind of model has, of course, always existed, and yeah, and when you're growing up like that, and when there's a like in my case, I actually was not born in Japan, even though I'm genetically Japanese. So in a way, I'm a little bit like an outsider in a way, because even though
You've had a hybrid approach, right?
because yeah, exactly. Since my
Yeah.
parents actually left Japan and they worked around the world, because my father
Yeah.
came from a very traditional household, and I think he really wanted to get out from this little village and explore. Yeah.
Mm. But I know for you, like the roots of going back there and seeing family and connecting and feeling just even, wanting to belong and be received by your grandfather and other relatives who were still living there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How has that impacted you as you've wanted to become an entrepreneur? What like hurdles or beliefs have you had to really work through?
Oh, so many. Like, first of all, just not even entrepreneurship, like going to university. My
Ah,
grandmother was like, "What? Why do you need to go to university, Sarika? Girls don't need to go." That was like
wow.
her belief. So it wasn't even about entrepreneurship. It was like
Right.
even from such a basic thing where
Mm.
it was because my paternal grandmother had an arranged marriage to my grandfather, who was much older, and because she was younger, actually she never really completed, I think, her formal education. So in her mind, it's like, why would my granddaughter bother
Yeah.
to study
So then what
more?
does that do for you? What does that mean to you when that happens? Like, how did that affect you?
Well, I of course, because from that, gender stereotyping is all around us always. So I
Mhm.
already had that question mark, and I kind of, I guess, learned kind of, I mean, without, I mean, not through books, but kind of through experience, learned that, okay, whatever somebody's saying is I don't have to actually go with that. So I
Mhm.
guess kind of learning by doing, I kind of shut off these comments. I mean, in a loving way, because of course my grandmother has no harmful intentions to say don't go to school or don't go to university. That's kind of a waste, right? Or why go 4 years when you can do a quick 2 year one? Or anyway, it doesn't matter. But it was, but I think to answer your question, I guess because when you experience so many of these question marks, you can't just take in everything. So you just kind of learn that, oh, okay, that's somebody else's opinion, but because I'm not her or them, I don't exactly have to follow it.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us, when you were growing up, with the way that you interacted with your grandfather and other relatives who were very ingrained in the Japanese culture and more traditional ways of doing things, how did that affect you and your views about like yourself? How did that affect your
Mm,
self-esteem? What were the thoughts that you had about yourself that you had to overcome?
yeah. That this is such an interesting question. And actually, to be honest, I don't really have a clean, good answer because I think it's such a messy thing.
Yes, it is. It is. We're just dancing in the mess over here, Sarika. We're dancing in the mess of it all.
Because
Yeah.
even as a Japanese person, as I mentioned, I'm like, even though actually my family is like one of the oldest Japanese families, this family tree goes back to 700s, which is incredible. But I am actually not so Japanese because I was
Yeah.
kind of outside of Japan a lot of times, born outside in Thailand to my mom and dad, who is Japanese, but so genetically Japanese, but like internally, I feel like I'm quite a third culture kid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
going back always was kind of a strange emotion because even now, whenever I go back to Japan, which I go back twice a year for sake, as you know, and I always have a light culture shock
Yeah.
landing.
So do you feel like an imposter there?
Sometimes, like sometimes Japanese people will tell me, "Oh my goodness, your Japanese is so good." Or even in the local government office when I was trying to register my residence permit, there's like two desks, one for Japanese and one for aliens. Well, alien, what they call non-Japanese, and it's like, oh, this desk, please,
Wow.
because I guess I don't act so Japanese.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, actually, I guess that has been. I think y- when I think about it, of course, I don't think I could really live in a at this point in my life because I don't think I could be kind of integrated fully into a traditional Japanese society like
Yeah.
outside Tokyo anymore, or maybe never in the first place.
Well, and you know that you have to have a little bit of gratitude for your parents who kind of bucked the system and, have created a new path for you and your family, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
super thankful. Yeah.
I know you told me, like when we were talking about doing this podcast, you were talking to me a little bit about feeling like you always had to prove yourself or feeling like you weren't good
Absolutely.
enough.
Yeah.
Speak into that. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So again, if we go back to like my grandfather's comments, or of course, my grandfather and grandmother, they are such a loving, natured people, but they don't mean any harm, but that's just how what they know, right? So they
Yeah.
would, so things like, oh, my grandmother telling me, why would you need to go to school and study? You can just get married. And of course I can get married, but what if, what if you want to explore more? And so yeah, felt like, okay, well, this studying is going to be useful, grandma. Just wait.
And you had to prove it. You had to prove.
Yeah,
And so did that put extra pressure on you?
absolutely. Well, I feel like, okay, well, I mean, yes and no. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely felt like, okay, I mean, I need to get good grades, and and then show that, grandpa, grandma, that of course, my grandfather, I'm the first grandchild. So my grandfather was expecting or hoping for a boy for the first
Mm.
grandchild, because, that's what at that time, society or Japanese families, they wanted boys, because boys would normally take over the family business, everything, and the girls will get married and be integrated to a different family. So like traditionally people preferred boys, so they had a name for a boy, which was Tiger.
Okay. Well, I like
And
Sarika, so now I might start calling you Tiger because that's kind of you do have a tiger personality. You're just like a rawr, like let me come and get you. Like I'll show you. You've got to have that. That there's that warrior inside of you, that warrior tiger spirit of like, here I come, watch out.
exactly, that's so funny. And yeah, that's why, so I guess in my mind that, okay, maybe I needed to, I mean, I never really thought through this, but I had a chance last year to think about. I also was actually doing a PhD and decided to resign from it, because at the end I realized, okay, I don't think I need to prove myself anymore, because I felt like
Mm,
I've already tried a lot to do so
yeah.
through going to school, going to do my graduate school, and then like joining the UN through the competitive exam. So it's like after that, my grandparents were like, "Oh, Sarika, I don't even know what that is, but that's amazing." But then I realized, actually I don't need a PhD anymore, so I quit. So I never became Dr. Sarika. But
Well, yeah, because it's like, where does it stop, right?
exactly.
Where does the proving
Yeah.
stop? And at
Be-
what point, like, can I stop proving to myself too
exactly.
that I'm
Exactly.
good enough? Like, why do I have to keep going and doing and like getting all of these, certifications
Exactly.
and
Ex-
levels to prove to myself and the world I am good enough. I am worthy here.
exactly. So finally I felt like I somehow it came when I resigned from my PhD. I realized, I guess I don't need this kind of external validation
Mm.
anymore, because at that point it's like I've done so much of that, and and I didn't need to be Dr. Sarika for what? And like spend more years studying. No, I thought, okay, better than that. I think something better and more fun is going to happen, and that is the entrepreneurship path I'm on.
I love it. I love it. So tell us about your journey of coming into these products that you now offer with the Sake Balm, the face yoga. Tell us about your journey with that.
So I am multi passionate, as you can tell.
Yes, me too. You know I am too.
Oh yes, we're the multi passionate team. Yeah, so originally, I mean, actually, my sake, my love for sake actually goes back to, again, with a story with my grandpa. So my grandpa was always drinking, unfortunately, bad sake. So I never loved sake, because
Mm,
at that time, those old sake. Now sake is amazing, beautiful, but those sake from those olden times were unfortunately very poor quality, because Japan was still kind of growing economically. The real sake would be only like one third, and they would mix like two-thirds, God knows what, and it was like awful. So I always thought sake is horrible. I never loved sake until one day I had, by complete coincidence, when I was traveling in Japan up north in Fukushima, where it's now unfortunately famous for the nuclear accident, but this was
mm.
before that. I stayed in a local accommodation hotel, and they offered me sake, and I said, "Oh, no, 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 no. I like wine, I like beer, I like champagne, but no sake, please." But they said, "No, no. this is local sake, really good with our local food. And they gave it to us, and I had a sip, and I was, what is this? This is so amazing, beautiful. I mean,
Mm.
such a beautiful taste that I'd never had, and it was completely different from my grandpa's sake. It's like this sake angels were singing in the background. And so it was, I was just so surprised that sake is so good. And even though my grandfather, the ancestral lineage is from one of Japan's number two production area of sake. So there's sake breweries all around us. And
Wow.
I never loved it. But after this sip, I started to explore sake. And what I learned is that every month, so many sake breweries are going bankrupt, and because people are wanting to drink more cool drinks like wine and beer rather than this grandfather's drink at that time.
Yeah. So what do you do? What is your part in with the sake?
Yeah, so what I do is I share my love of sake, and I help people fall in love with sake. So
Okay.
how I do that is through education and consultancy. So I'm actually an ambassador for one of the sake things in Japan to spread awareness to Japanese, especially young people who, yeah, so that they can fall in love with our 2,000-year-old treasure craft.
Mm.
Yeah, because right now the serious decline is like about in 50 years, it went down one third in terms of consumption and production because just demand has been going down. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, so
that's,
then you've taken sake and you've created a balm.
yeah.
Tell us about that and why. Like, why did you create this balm and what does this balm do?
My Bob is my favorite. I wish I could give it to you on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, so sake has been, known for beauty properties like for hundreds of years. Like
Mm.
geishas have been bathing in sake, and there's an enzyme in sake called kojic acid, that's supposed to be brightening and like moisturizing and nourishing for your skin. So that sake is infused in 100% natural balm. So it's like, yeah, goodness of sake that you can put on your face. So it's like a different way of sharing sake, not just an alcohol beverage, but it's actually more than that. So that's kind of my aim, that the sake bomb is like, oh, sake is not just an alcohol.
Yeah, I
It's a
love that.
craft.
Yeah, beautiful. And then, so from there, I know you discovered along the way the space yoga, and that kind of came more recently. Tell us about how you've discovered that,
Everything was by accident and
right?
kind of organic evolution, and nothing was planned this way. It wasn't like I had a strategic plan and I said, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to launch the bomb. It just kind of all organically and just accidentally happened. But of course, nothing is an accident, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
so just completely out of just talking with friends on a trip, we discovered face yoga when we Googled face exercises because we were taking photos of our lovely trip. And some of my friends said, my body looks great, but what happened to my face? It's like it's falling down. And we
Mm,
thought, oh, maybe we can also exercise the face. And when we Googled it, this is already 10 years ago because I discovered it in 2014, and face yoga came up and everyone was laughing. But I was so intrigued because I thought, of course, if people can exercise their body, of course people can exercise their face muscles too, right? It's a muscle.
yeah.
So I was so intrigued, and I saw that this was offered in Japan. So when I was back in Japan, I actually went there.
Yeah.
And the only thing available, I just needed to, I just needed a 1 hour session, but the only thing available was teacher training. So I ended up doing this 10-day thing, and yeah, but it wasn't like I was going to teach people. I was just so curious about the
Yeah.
concept because it sounds so absurd and crazy. Face yoga.
So tell us, what do you see? Like, how have you seen women benefit from exploring face yoga as you've been teaching them now?
Oh, yeah.
What do you notice?
Well, first of all, face yoga feels great. And a lot of times, including myself, we actually started face yoga more for the superficial reason. Like in
Mhm,
Japan, they say, take 10 years off with face yoga,
mhm.
whatever, whatever. But what you actually notice is that we carry so much stress on our faces. And you know best, you know very well that we can store, stress and trauma on the body parts. And face
Yeah.
is such a critical area, especially the forehead, in between the eyebrows, and gritting the teeth. Is We have like three really hot facial tension storing spots. So
Mhm.
we actually release that facial tension, and you can actually release a lot of your emotional like heaviness. So it feels so good. And that's how I kind of, even though I entered through the more superficial reason, what I've noticed is that if I don't, I love doing it because I feel so much lighter in my heart
Mhm.
by letting go of that tension that I've been carrying a lot of tension on my face, especially working in the UN, because I needed to look so serious and
Yeah, in your
official.
professional career before doing entrepreneurship.
So
Was
I had this. So I actually intentionally was crinkling my face to look like I'm listening and listening. But what that did is that it made my I had like two vertical lines, what's called the 11 lines between my eyebrows, because I was always doing like this in the meetings to be, looking serious and professional.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah,
that's disappeared now after
that's
the two
amazing.
the two
Yeah, that's
lines.
amazing. So, do you wanna guide us? Wanna guide us and
Sure.
show us where we can start on our own journey of exploring face yoga?
Absolutely. We can
Let's
do a
do it.
mini one.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think you're already a fabulous face yogi, right, Jill? You are.
I've done a little bit with you.
Okay, so what we can do is like we can do a quick flow. So rather than doing like one pose, we can just put
Yeah,
it together. And yeah, okay.
let's do it.
We can start. First of all, posture is so important. So we can start, and you know this so well because you are the guru of somatic movement. But yes, so what we
Yeah,
want to do, if you like, you can close your eyes gently. And what you want to feel, and you don't have to do anything if you don't feel like it. I'm just going to guide you, and it's up to you to take whatever you want. So if you like, gently close your eyes, and we're going to shut out like the visible distractions so it's easier to feel and go inside. And now we want to keep your heart space really wide open and really open up. We don't want any hunchbacks, because hunchback is going to close off, and that negative energy spiral will happen. So we want to have the heart space wide open, and your spine is nice and long, so you really feel that strong line of energy from the base of your spine all the way to the crown of your head. Okay, so now that we have the posture, let's just do 3 cycles of breath. We're going to breathe in through our nose. And as you breathe in, visualize that you're attracting all the beautiful things from the universe to you. And as you breathe out, just imagine little by little the facial stress that you hold on your face. Let's start with the forehead. The forehead is feeling lighter as you exhale. Going to do that 2 more times. You're going to inhale through the nose. beautiful things coming to you. And as you exhale, oh, the tension in between your eyebrows slowly kind of melting away like butter. One last time, we're going to inhale through the nose. Oh, the beautiful things, abundance coming to you. And as you exhale, little by little, the worries that you're storing on your face is gradually going away. And keep breathing like that. I'm going to count down to 5 to 0, and we're going to open our eyes in 5 seconds. But keep breathing with the same visualization. 3, 2, 1, and 0. We're going to open our eyes like flowers blooming, like your eyes are like the beautiful flowers opening up. Yeah. And now you're ready to start face yoga.
Love it. I love that. I love that you always start face yoga with a grounding practice to kind of center the intention of it.
Yeah, because it's so much about the mind and
The
your
energy.
the
Yeah.
face muscles connection. So
Yeah.
if we just
Yeah.
go straight to crazy faces, like then then you won't benefit as much. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna take my sunglass off, and then we're gonna start with a mini scalp massage. So what you want to do is crisscross your hands and put them on your scalp, and you won't imagine. Actually, we store so much stress on our scalp. We don't even think about it. So what we want to do is shake it vertically. So now like this, up and down 10 times. Yep, I know it looks weird, but just wait. And after 10 times, now we're going to do horizontal. So left and right 10 times. Yeah, I know it's going to mess up your hair. You can comb it later, don't worry.
Okay, we're dancing in the mess here, Sarika. Hey, okay, we get a little messy.
Yeah, and just you can now go tapping on your forehead. Ooh, this is, our number one of the huge hotspot areas where we hold tension. And when our forehead is completely relaxed, apparently it's impossible to get angry. So, yeah, tap, tap, tap. And then now you can put your hands down. Do you feel like already the blood and oxygen flow on the top of your face is starting?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Just 10 seconds of that.
Hmm.
And now we are, let's say, okay, let's do the wow pose, which is you just say wow. But when you say it, really be aware. It's like just like Pilates. When you do Pilates, the teacher will tell you you're currently like be conscious of your whatever muscle you're using. So exactly the same way, because we've got 57 muscles on our face, and we can work it out exactly the same. So all you're going to do is say wow, but just be aware how wow that you're using the cheek area, and just be lovingly thankful when you do it. So you can say wow 3 times like this. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. I am amazing.
Wow.
Wow. And whatever affirmation you can have, you can combine the wow. And we'll do it one more time. Wow. Do you feel that you're using your cheek muscle?
Yeah, I also feel like I'm using my eyebrows too when because ex when you're exclaiming like, "Wow," my eyebrows go up. I noticed that too.
Oh yeah. If you feel like you're using your forehead muscles too much, in that case you can lock it with your hands like this, so it's less movement um for your forehead. That's so you're not wrinkling your forehead.
Yeah, so more of a
And
yeah.
yeah, so lastly we'll do the detox pose. So this is a great pose when you feel like anxious or kind of angry, or something sad just happened, or even when you're hungover.
Okay. From all your sake.
Yeah. So it's called a detox pose, and I'll show you first, and we'll do it together. And I know it looks a little bit crazy, but it really works. So, as normal, your heart space is wide open and your spine is nice and long. You really want to feel that open feeling where you're open to the, receiving so many beautiful things. And then, as normal, you're going to inhale through the nose and always that visualization of all the beautiful things coming to you. And when you exhale, you're going to exhale with your tongue out like this.
This is my favorite one.
Yeah, because the tongue is a muscle, and the tongue is actually connected to your internal organs. So it's really going to aid that function of detoxification, and it feels good.
It does. And you know what I like about it, Sarika, is that it brings out the inner child in us. It allows
Yes.
us to be a little more playful, a little more lighthearted, to not take things as seriously, and to kind of soften the body through this energy of like lightheartedness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, we'll do that 2 more times because every
Okay, let's
pose
do
we
it.
do 3 times.
Yep.
So exactly, that playfulness is so fun. So we're gonna inhale through the nose and remember the visualization and exhale anything you don't need from your face. Yeah, you are so good. Do you feel your core engage with that?
I didn't even notice, honestly. Let's do it
Okay.
again so I can
Yeah, the
notice.
third one, see if your core is engaged because that means you're really doing it right. Because
Okay.
as I said, the tongue is a muscle and it's actually all connected to the internal organs. So you could even feel your core engaged. So let's see if you will
Okay.
feel it this time. Again,
Yep.
inhaling and exhale all the facial stress out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're doing it
You
right.
lingered longer too with your tongue out afterwards, and people who are listening might not have seen that, but I was like, "Oh, wait, I stopped too soon." So you just gonna sit there
Well,
and linger.
yeah, well, you just want to exhale everything out that you don't need. And
Yeah.
lastly, just gently close your eyes and just feel the effects of that practice. In silence, we're going to feel about 30 seconds. Just feel your face right now. Hmm. Hopefully, your forehead feels more relaxed. There's a lot of oxygen circulation and blood circulation on your cheek area. And your face feels more relaxed. And I also feel more relaxed. And I feel beautiful. So we're going to open our eyes in 5 seconds, but just keep breathing and just keep feeling the effects of the practice that you lovingly did for your face. Thanking your precious eyes and your beautiful, smile and face for working for you every day. So we're going to open our eyes in 3, 2, 1, 0. Flowers opening. It's like blooming. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was the mini flow.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, the detox one. What is that? Does it have a different name to it?
Yes, for example, in hatha yoga or normal yoga, it's called the lion's pose. But
Yes.
yes, but what's different is that in lion's pose, you normally look up. When you look up, though, what tends to happen is that you tend to wrinkle the forehead.
Okay.
So what we would want to avoid actually is wrinkling the forehead because it actually stresses you. So
Mhm.
you, of course, you can do it. Like lion's pose is oftentimes like together with cat and cow when you're looking up and down. So it's a great combination like that. But a lot of times, even like yogis can be holding tension on their faces while doing the poses. So for this detox pose, what we want to do is look straight and just keep the forehead relaxed. Don't look up like the lion's pose.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. And I know that you're going to leave a link for everybody in the show notes with a little practice that they can do too, right? What are you
Yes.
leaving for us?
Oh, yes. Basically, a practice like this. There's a face yoga, a 5 minute flow, and I actually also have a 12-minute face yoga class as well. Kind of more breaking down the poses like a tutorial. Whereas today we did a more flowy class.
Yeah, yeah. So great. So go into the show notes if you're listening and you're intrigued and want to learn a little bit more about face yoga to help bring joy and to energetically shift your nervous system state. That's really it's just another somatic practice.
Absolutely,
And I will tell
absolutely.
you from some of the learning that I've done from you, I incorporate some of the little massage practices on my face, like when I'm putting on my face moisturizer.
Mm,
I know because
that's
we
the
Sake Balm
fantastic time.
too
Mm.
incorporated there. So I definitely need to try that at some point. But yeah, like just the gentle circles around my eyes and like some of the gentle, like, I'm not sure what this one's
Yeah.
called, but I do a lot of this one too. And
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's the
where I'm
best
moving my
time.
fingers back and forth. What is that one called? Is that one?
Oh well, there's lots of names, but acupressure, push points, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that the whole point is that as long as you lovingly do it, well, it can be integrated into a self care routine exactly like you
Yeah.
do. Even 5 minutes would make a difference because I'm the laziest face yogi, so I know that 5 minutes would be okay.
I love that. I love that. Sarika, thanks so much for being here today. If you could share
You.
one piece of encouragement, one last final thought for women as they're listening, what would it be? What do you want to encourage women today?
Oh, I guess like I feel like we're so fortunate to be alive now. Like if I think of my grandmother's time or even 50 years ago. So I guess we're so fortunate and we can maximize yeah, the enjoyment of our life and yeah.
So to keep on enjoying and coming, moving.
Because we're so lucky to be alive
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, gratitude. It's a big thing. It
Mm,
affects our energy, doesn't it? Yeah.
absolutely.
Just tell us before you get off, how can people find you?
My website is www.thesarika.com.
Yes. TADSARIKA.com for
Yes.
Sarika.
And my Instagram is sarika.sake.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today and showing us face yoga. And honestly, thank you too from the bottom of my heart for being vulnerable, sharing about just Japanese culture and what it's been like for you growing up, and just to admit that you honestly didn't even know that some of the things that were happening to you, like there is a part of you that hasn't even come into a full awareness of how it's affected you because it was just a normal part of life for all women, all females. And so
Absolutely.
thank you for sharing that and giving us a little perspective of what it's like to be in your shoes and
Oh,
to have been a Japanese woman who's grown up with some adversity, some, beliefs coming against you that have tried to hold you back, suppress you a little bit just because of gender roles in society that your relatives have grown up in. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you too
oh.
for the way that you have overcome so much in your life.
Oh no, I want to say thank you, Jill. Really, it was I enjoyed this conversation with you so much, and you're such an amazing person. I mean, we meet every week, but it's really, you're an inspiration. I mean,
Well, thank you. I feel the same for you. You're an inspiration and your joy, your energy is contagious. And I love you and I thank you for
Oh,
being
I love you too, and thank you, Jill, for
here.
this.